Okay, everybody, welcome once again, America, to the Meat and Potato Show, conservative talk and awesome rock. And I am your host, Christopher Mader, and it is once again an amazing pleasure to have another great guest calling into the show this afternoon. Listen, I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking to so many people all the time on this show, and you know, there's that old saying, when you do something that you love, you no longer work ever again. You're no longer working for a living, you're just doing what you love, and I'm just doing what I love. I did not actually meet this guest face to face. I actually think I met her daughter, and it was at the Boston Tea Party rally earlier this year in Boston, Massachusetts. And everything is up on the Meat and Potatoes page, everything is up on the Facebook page, the M&P Conservative page, all the videos are there. And I met this amazing person, not personally, talked to her daughter. She was so busy talking to people, because that's what good people and famous people do. But I talked to her daughter, I handed her my business card, told her to get hold of me. Through hook and crook, we ended up getting hold of each other. But this is what happens in the Meat and Potato Show. Somehow, diligence and God above points us all in the right direction. And somehow we're all supposed to meet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an amazing woman. She grew up in Harlem, grew up in the inner cities of New York. Back in the days of segregation, racialism, I mean, we're talking the true shit here. We're talking the real, what's the title of my show? The Meat and Potatoes. She grew up in the real meat and potatoes. She jumped on that bandwagon of liberalism, Democrats. Soon as she grew up, like myself, she managed to find that there's something wrong here. This is not the wagon I hitched onto. Something's going wrong here. Her parents, despite their breakup, they handed her the foundations of self-individualism, self-sacrifice, endeavor, push on, push, always push. It doesn't matter you're an American, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, it doesn't matter your gender. It's you, the individual, the person who's going to make something of your life. And this is what she has done. Through her slow, like myself, you've heard me tell this story myself, her slow coming into conservatism. It's been a long journey for her. And I'm going to read from her website here to introduce our guest. And wait till you hear this great American. I quote from her website, "Like approximately 99% of blacks, Barbara was instructed to register as a Democrat when she reached voting age as a young married woman. This she did without questioning the motto that the Democrats are for the poor and the Republicans are for the rich. She just went with the flow. That seemed to be so normal and right at those moments." Aren't we hearing that today? Barbara began to question her allegiance to the Democratic Party that promoted and saturated the air with hopelessness and a sense of defeat because of the dark color of her skin, and possibly even her gender. I'm just paraphrasing that. This was repeated throughout her journeys as a member of several Harlem-based Democratic political clubs, which included the Charlie Rangel Club. The logical sounds of reason came from the pulpit of Dr. D.J. Kennedy. His teachings proved to be the impetus for change. Ladies and gentlemen, her Christian name is Barbara Stinson, but everyone knows her as Barbara from Harlem, who spoke at the Boston Tea Party, who's here on the radio show, and we are going to have a true dialogue on race. Barbara from Harlem, thank you so much for calling into my show. How are you tonight, Barbara?
I am wonderful, and thank you for such an outstanding introduction. Thank you very much.
It is an amazing pleasure to have you on. I was kind of hoping that you would call in on Skype, but these things happen. Barbara, that statement right there in your website is probably one of the most amazing statements from a black American woman. I mean, we hear this stuff all the time about I have to be, I'm white, so I have to have guilt. I have to have guilt. I have to be guilty that I'm white and male and middle aged. Everything is all my fault. But Barbara, you are a true American, a true conservative who has done what all conservatives are supposed to do. Just get stuff done. Just pick yourself up, just get it done. Stop whining and crying and get it done. Barbara, let's talk about your book. Tell us about breaking free. Tell us about that journey from liberalism to conservatism, and talk about your experience with Dr. D.J. Kennedy. Barbara from Harlem, take over the microphone.
Oh yes, it's like, you know, it's the breaking free is the real story about how our brains, and I'm talking about particularly those in the urban community, how our brains are trained in a certain mindset that just tells us that it's the right thing to do is become a Democrat.
Right.
Support Democrats. The Republicans are never for minorities, and they're always going to show with them back, and they're always going to be, they always say that they're related to those slave owners, and they don't deserve our support. So it's a constant drumbeat over and over and over, and you just automatically go along with what being said and what the majority of blacks are doing. But it started to show my personhood, because how can I hold grudges against people who long ago died, answered to the maker for whatever they did? And I'm still going to say that the white people, because they were related maybe to some of them, are my enemies. It makes sense to me. And the more and more I heard it, the more and more troubled I became. And it wasn't until I really listened to the teachings of the late Dr. D.J. Kennedy that I really started connecting the dots. That how can I be a Christian and hate people for something that maybe their ancestors did without ever recognizing the tremendous contributions that many white people have made towards the Emancipation Proclamation.
Right.
From the fourth, so that my ancestors could become free citizens of America.
And let me stop you there. Never mind the 600,000 plus, and I'm going to say this, on both sides, Union and Confederate, who died fighting.
That's right. And see, you know, they used to say that the war was just designed to keep the Union together. That is not true. The whole Republican Party was formed to stop the spread of slavery. You know, we have to really...
It started even before the Civil War. It started even before. It was like 1850, 1840. It was just shortly after the Mexican War that this whole thing... I'm reading John Kennedy's Profiles in Courage. And I just finished the chapter on Sam Houston in Texas. And Sam Houston, Southerner, Texas, a slave owner. Even he himself said, you know what? You know, you got to start thinking about this. You know, you might want to do... But even he said, look, I'm for the Union. You got to keep the Union together. See, back then, and I read about this, is that Sam Houston was chastised for, he's defying us Southerners. Even Sam Houston was like, no, you don't understand. Texas was originally its own country at one time. Hello, I'm coming from that standpoint of my own republic. Yes, would I like the Union to stay together? Does that mean slavery? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. He's not, oh, I love slaves and I want blacks to be enslaved. No, he was talking about keeping the Union together. This is what is going wrong today, is we have this reversal of history that somehow, all of this, was somehow about slavery. It was not, was it, Barbara?
Right. You know your history, and that's what's important. You have to know the truth. The truth is the only thing that's going to set people free.
Truth is only going to set people.
But you know, we don't even realize many of the great forefathers and foremothers who happen to be black were also members of the Republican Party. They were
Right.
not Democrats.
Right.
Pete Douglas, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, all of them were members of the Republican Party.
Right.
Because they knew what they stood for. They knew that they were also trying to stop the spread of slavery, and blood was shed so that we can all celebrate being in America and that we are all created equally at the same God.
You know, I'm wondering if that this new paradigm that we're living under, and while we're on the subject of tolerance and understanding, let's look at the Al Sharptons. Let's look at the Louis Farrakhans, the Jesse Jacksons. I mean, they instantaneously jump on the race card. Every time there's a shooting, every time there's a robbery, every time there's something that goes on.
Yes.
No one's talking about, and none of them, Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, anybody, is talking about the astronomical, and I apologize, Barbara, because, you know, she's a black American, folks. These are just facts, and Barbara will back it up. These are just facts. The black on black crime, the black on white crime, it's astronomical. Why are we not addressing, why is not Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton saying something about this? What motivates these people?
Well, it's not part of their money-making agenda. Everything that they do is based on making money. They hustle for racism.
Right.
And that lines their pockets. They don't care about these lives that are being wasted.
No.
It's just a blood.
Thank you. No, they don't care about the lives being wasted. They're pulling a Rahm Emanuel. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Right. That's right. That's right. They're ready to march when they think or they want to exaggerate the treatment of blacks, you know, with the incidences, with the shootings and stuff like that.
Right, right.
They present the facts. They just want to call their group up and let's march, let's riot, let's do things that are really against the law so that they can keep their, I call them human cattle in line so that they can make more money, you know, off of racism. That's all it is.
Right, it's modern race. Right, and here's the thing: it's supposed to be free, equal, tolerance, understanding, but it really is. It's a modern version of slavery. It is, and Barbara, I'm so sad that this is what is going on here. It really, you know, as a white male, it breaks my heart to hear about these things. You know, I grew up in a suburban neighborhood, white, middle-class America.
Right.
And I want to segue into this myth of white privilege. I don't know. You know what? Here's my story. Barbara, your story is pretty much the same. My father left when I was a child. Barbara knows this story. My mom had to go on welfare. Barbara knows this story. We had to do whatever we can to put food on the table. Barbara knows this story. Hello, where was my white privilege? Where was it? How many times did Barbara have to go home, the electricity shut off, there's no food on the table? How many times did I go home, the electricity shut off, there's no food on? Where's my white privilege? Where the hell does this exist?
That's right.
This is the whole thing. Everything is equal, folks. When you are poor ass poor, everything is equal. You want to talk about equality? You want to talk about socialism? Fine, make everyone poor. We'll all be on the same playing field. Barbara, I'm sorry. Take it over from here.
But you're absolutely correct. You know, I learned how to make my money go further by watching white people who were struggling.
Right.
Coupon. I watched them talk about how much money they saved, not how much money they threw away. And that helped me be able to spend my money more wisely. And then I got a Jewish friend named Harry. He even taught me how to use my tea bag more than one time.
the thing, Barbara. Talk about Obama and socialism and the New World Order. Hell, Barbara, poverty makes everyone equal, doesn't it, Barbara?
It sure does. I know one thing.
It is colorblind, folks.
That's right. That's right. I know plenty of people who are not black who are struggling. But one thing for sure, they wanted to make sure that their children had a better future than they had.
Right.
They preached work, work, work.
That's
you
it.
Work, you save. You don't spend everything.
Yeah, these are the things that have stayed with me throughout my life. When my mother taught, here's the thing, Barbara. My mother was a liberal. She was a total liberal. I mean, she worked on John Kennedy's Senate campaign. I mean, she was a total John and Ted Kennedy liberal. It's been a long. It's like you, Barbara. I've had a long journey into conservatism. But what's great, and Barbara, you will probably agree with me on this, is what is great about our upbringing is we know the playbook. We know the lines. We know the stories. We know the lies. We remember that because we were raised that. And so we're kind of like the ultimate moles into conservatism. It's like, don't worry, guys. I've seen this playbook before. We know how to do this.
Right.
But why, as part of the liberal agenda, is that part of trying to destroy everything that is traditional America, American traditions, Christmas, prayers in school? I know there's certain things that we can, argue about, but Barbara, you know what I'm talking about. We saw, take the Confederate flag away, take the Ten Commandments out. We have gay marriage. Everything is upside down in America. And hey, listen, gay marriage, I'm all on board. If you guys want to get married, nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's my attitude. I don't care. Once you bring it into the purview of politics and courts and law enforcement and you force it in my face, now we have a problem. But this is part of the agenda, isn't it? It's never about equality. And Barbara, getting back to blacks, getting back to the reparations, getting back to the power struggle that's going on here. It's never about parity and equality. It's about power, isn't it?
That's what it is. But can I just make one point? I'm going to make one point. I call them those kind of people who want to destroy the values, in the Ten Commandments. I call them the gangless, the godless gang.
Right.
They are delusional and they're godless people who want to destroy that which is good to replace it with God knows only what.
Right.
Their plans never work. Look at what they've done to the inner cities and telling young women, and particularly minorities, you don't need a man.
Yep, Philly, Baltimore, right. All Democrat strongholds. Let me stop you there, and you can continue. As a Christian woman yourself, do you see this black angst and agenda pushing for power and reparations? You see the videos; they're all screaming, yelling, power, bombing, fire, the whole thing. Is this anti-Christian and counter to the teachings of Jesus Christ?
Oh, they don't even know who Jesus is.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Go on.
They don't even know, because if they did know, they wouldn't hold on to the past and try to make the past look like it's the present.
Right.
That's a total lie.
Yeah, Baltimore would not be on fire. That's right. Neither Ferguson. Right.
And you have somebody like Sharp Tom, I call him Sharp Tom. That's not looting.
Yeah, right.
That's stealing, period.
Well, here's the thing about here's the thing about Sharpton. It's great that you make that point. Sharpton, I love that. Sharp tongue, I love that. I'm gonna use that.
Yes.
So here it segues me into my next question. Okay, look at what happened in Charleston. Horrible incident.
Yes.
Some crazy fruitcake kid, and folks, Barbara, listen to my diatribe for a second here. Folks, this is what it was. It wasn't a white kid out to kill niggers. He didn't care. He didn't care. He's just a mental case. He's just a crazy ass fruitcake nutbag who got hold of a gun. We must see things as they really are. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with hate. It's just, this kid was nuts. That's it. Now, here's the difference. In Charleston, the families forgave that person. The pastors came out. Hundreds, if not thousands of people showed up for the eulogies and the sermons that happened afterwards. And somebody had said this once before. The difference between Ferguson and Baltimore and Charleston was because God showed up. God showed up. In Baltimore and Ferguson, it was leftist, anarchist, black power, all these questions I asked earlier. This angst, this anger, these prescribed paradigms of racism and hatred that showed up. In other words, Satan showed up. Go ahead, Barbara. I know you're chomping at the bit. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying, though.
I'm thinking to myself, what's looking through my mind all the time since Charleston. Did this young man listen to some of this supposed to be white privileged people, whatever, and pass the white churches and just go to the black one because, I just try to imagine myself being a white person and listening to some of the rhetoric from these leftists, and if I wasn't grounded in something that was real or whatever, I don't know what I might do. I think that these race baiters and these people who always talking about black and white and all that, I believe a lot of that blood is on their hands because we have a lot of people out here already needed a little push to get over the edge. And my mind is telling me, and I could be totally wrong, that somehow or another that some of this race baiting and all this taunting and talking about how terrible white people are, terrible they happen, just played a little role in what happened also. That's my thing.
Are we looking at a potential reverse racism that eventually it's like, oh, Whitey's the bad guy? Then you start, okay, Barbara, you and I'm 51, Barbara, my mother told me never ask a woman her age, but you and I have been down that road. We remember those days when true racism existed. I mean, it was horrible, it was terrible. Again, I told you, I grew up in a white neighborhood, white school, but my mother would say, don't ever say the N-word. Don't ever say that, that is horrible, you're a Christian, don't ever say that, that's terrible. I never knew that word, I never knew anything. I live in the inner city now, I walk down the street, I hear black kids saying it like, they're just blowing it out of their mouths. We have come completely full circle on this. This is incredible here.
Well, Chris, I asked the young man who had a t-shirt on, and he said, my name is Nigga. And I walked up to him, I said, now why are you wearing that t-shirt?
Right.
He said, I don't know. I said, now, if
I don't know.
and called you a nigga, you'd be ready to fight, but you're calling yourself a nigga.
Yeah, right. He doesn't even know what it means. In fact, the actual term, I've done this on Facebook. I've done this on my show. The actual Webster's and Oxford Dictionary term of niggardly. What does that mean? Nobody. In fact, if you even mention that, you're a racist. It's like you don't even know what the word means. How can you call me a racist? Throwing out a question and you don't even understand it. What are you, an idiot?
I worked at a 7-Eleven, they had gas pumps and all that.
Right.
And I worked the midnight shift. And a white chick came up there and he was talking, a little trash. I called him a nigga. I said, nigga, I run this store at night.
Good for you. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Good for you, Barbara. God bless you. Absolutely. All right, Barbara, we got to move on. We got to move on here. Okay. All right. So in Worcester, Massachusetts, over the last few weeks, this this is why I'm so grateful to have you on the show, Barbara. You can add some really interesting insight here. So in Worcester, Massachusetts, we've been having these forums hosted by the Worcester City Council and the Department of Justice because for some reason Worcester is a racist community and we're just so racist and white privileged and I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about because I live in the city and I walk the streets every day. I see black, brown, green, yellow. I swear some people are from outer space. I see them all over the place. Every once in a while, I run into another white guy. But here's what is being put out on the dialogue for racism here in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I'm gonna read a couple of things and have Barbara comment on them. And Barbara knows where I'm going here. The definition of racism. This is from the City of Worcester Community Dialogue on Race. Definition of racism. For purposes of these dialogues, racism equals prejudice plus power, a common phrase in the field. It is also described as a system of oppression based on the solely constructed concept of race exercised by the dominant racial group, and it says in parentheses, whites, over non-dominant racial groups. I sat in on one of these groups, and I read this, and I said, first of all, this definition is wrong. Their heads exploded, Barbara. They were like, what do you mean? I said, first of all, you say dominant species white. First of all, there's 7.2 billion people on the planet. Did you know that 6 billion of them are brown people? And they looked at me like I had 6. How could you say? It's like, what? Why don't you face reality? Whites, Europeans, Americans, Canadians, Australians, we're like less than a quarter. How the F is this? How the F is exercised by the dominant racial group, whites? Are you serious? So here we go, and you can take it from here, Barbara, after 2 seconds. Discrimination. This is from Webster's Dictionary. The practice of unfairly treating a person or group of people differently from other people or groups of people. Well, guess what, folks? This happens everywhere, all over the country. Just look at ISIS. Look at the Sunnis and the Shias. Look at the Palestinians. Look at the Serbians and the Bosnians. Hell, didn't something happen in Rwanda a few years ago? Isn't that racism? Oh, wait, no. But it's white privilege. It's the whites who are always to blame. Barbara, take it from here, please.
You know, these people are really very delusional, and listening to them, it makes me absolutely sick. Here in this country, because we have Judeo-Christian values as
right.
our country, I think we're the only nation in the world that has made so much progress in the areas of race, or in any area, any area that we may have fallen
right.
short.
I mean, seriously, really, Barbara. I mean, come on. I mean, you're a black woman. You lived those times. You remember that shit. You remember when that went on. How far have we come, for crying out loud?
I have purchased a home in Queens Village in a white neighborhood. No one burned the cross on my lawn. I have attended events, bluegrass events. My mother and I were the blackest thing in here besides the boots. No one burned, no one lynched us or anything like that. I mean, these people
Really, seriously?
say that Americans are racist. Well, they need to tell the Africans who are coming over here left and right. They're blacker than I am, and they seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean,
they're still coming here.
yeah, this is and here's the thing, Barbara, too, is like you grew up in that section of where Charlie Rangel. Charlie Rangel's a black man. He's on the NAACP, champions all these groups. Barbara, again, my mother told me never ask a woman her age, but I know you and I are plus or minus the same. Charlie Rangel has been there since you and I were kids.
Yes.
What the hell has he done to improve the neighborhood?
Nothing.
Thank you. And he's black. He's black. He's supposed to be that he's supposed to be the Archangel Gabriel of truth and justice and tolerance and freedom. It's a complete freaking lie. Barbara, go ahead.
Well, I can tell you what he does. I mean, he preaches racism almost every meeting that I attended. Now, if he's not so for the Black family in Harlem, why do we have at least 43.2% of the residents in his district below the level of poverty?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? He's looking at what, 40 years in office? You know, what is it? 23 or 30 trillion dollars spent on the war on poverty. What? Okay, where are the results? Hello. Really, Barbara? Really?
You know, it's such a disgrace in America to even see people keep voting in office over and over again. I have never voted for John Daniel, even though I was a member of the club that he attended.
Why do you think that is, Barbara? Why do you think that blacks keep voting Democrats? It's the same thing with the Jewish population. I was at a venue the other night. We were talking to Jewish conservatives, and that was part of the general feel of the forum, is why Jews keep voting Democrat. Why do blacks keep voting Democrat? Why?
Well, the thing about it is, you know, they make it seem as if that's the black thing to do, that you're supposed to be loyal to the black people, to all black people, by voting for Democrats. And if we look around this nation, where it rain, the cities that they control are a disaster.
Right.
Are a total disaster. New York, Newark, Arlington, just name them, the Bronx, all these places. But we've been so brainwashed, even from our pulpit. We have been brainwashed when you pick up one of these free publications in Harlem in particular, because I always pick them up just to read. Full of propaganda, full of racism. Hate the white man, blame him for your problem. They don't tell these young people the truth about the matter. You know, we got to start mending our homes. Our homes are broken, our children are out there without a father, without a structured environment, and they are primed and ready for criminal activity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Untimely death at the hands of other blacks.
And you know, one of the things I post on my Facebook page, and I've been in trouble for it. But Barbara, you can understand where I'm coming from, because you just spoke about that. I do post various videos of fights, gang fights, the knockout game, store robberies, flash mobs that go into various places and just rob the place. Barbara, I apologize. I'm sorry. But this is the meat and potato show. I think you know where I'm going here. They're primarily black. They're all black. You see these videos and you watch and you say, please, please let there be a white person, please. And no, there isn't. And you see this over and over and over. You look at Michael Brown, Vic Garner, over, Trayvon, over. This brings me back to my first question, is like, why aren't we addressing this? And not to address it as to blame, but to solve that, but to look at the situation and say, you know what, we got to do something about this. This is wrong. Go ahead, Barbara.
Well, you know what, they don't want to address it because then you tell people, have to tell people they have to be more responsible for their lives, the decisions they make. And we have over 70%, it's what, 72.3% of black children born out of wedlock.
Right.
There's no structured home. But you see, the Democrats focus on mention that because this way they have more victims. That they can tell, we're your only hope, vote for us, and we'll make sure you get a affordable house. We'll make sure you get a free telephone.
Okay, so stop.
Enslavement. They are slaves.
That's right. Thank you. I was going to say, stop there, Barbara. So, in other words, it's a modern day plantation, isn't it, Barbara?
Yes, it is.
So why don't blacks see this? In fact, let's look at Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. These guys are not true reverends. They're not true reverends. They're not looking at the situation and spelling it out exactly. They're jumping on the bandwagon. DJ Kennedy that you met obviously spelled it out. The pastor at Charleston who gave the eulogy for those killed after the massacre spelled it all out. There are plenty of other black Americans who spell it out, yet they're all demonized because they're not using the liberal paradigm, are they, Barbara? Go ahead.
No, that's true. That's true. That is so true. You know, it's sad that we're so, what did they call it, politically correct.
Right.
And they want to step on anyone's feet. And if you speak out against it, you must extradite your own race. And none of that is true. The truth needs to be spoken. Until we address all of the children born, in such dire conditions, we're not going to see any kind of resolution to the problem.
Right.
Every time I'm walking down the streets in Harlem and I go over to Newark, New Jersey, you have to go past a memorial on the street where another child was slaughtered. And it's not at the end of the KKK. They're out of business. Because these young people are doing the work of the KKK right there in their own community.
Well, here's...
It's like I see some of these churches that all Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
When we have all of these young ladies having abortions, do they matter? When we have our young people dying from drugs,
Right.
Black moms, do they matter then?
The kids lost, fathers go off to gangs, single mothers, abortions, and Barbara just said it. Yeah, abortion in the black community, it's astronomical. It's nuts. Hello, Margaret Sanger. Barbara knows what I'm talking about.
That's right.
Barbara knows exactly what I'm talking about. But Barbara, here we are in this society. It pains me. I walk down the street. I see plenty of black Americans, Hispanic Americans. I live in the inner city here. And so, believe it or not, I'm the minority. I mean, there's Muslims, Chinese, Brazilians, Africans, blacks, this, that. I swear some people are from another planet, but I'm the only white guy here. Okay? I walk down the street. I get yelled at. I get accosted. I get insulted. My daughter has been jumped in the city, and I said, well, who did it? Well, who was it? It's like, I don't know. It was a bunch of black girls. And Barbara, I apologize. I'm sorry. But these are the things that Barbara knows. See, this is why I love having conversations with intelligent people like Barbara. Barbara knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then we sit here and we say that, oh, it's white privilege, and you're the racist, and we can't do anything because if we say anything, then we're the racist, and so I just have to take my daughter to the hospital and patch up her bruises and hope to God it doesn't happen again. My wife is accosted because she's white and by other black males in the city, and this thing goes on. I post it many times on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page. I use Barbara, you saw it, I use the euphemistic term, and the demographic is. I don't say this as a racist way. I'm trying to point something out, that we need to start seeing things as they really are. This is why when you hear on my show, I'm very anti-Islamic radical, and I point that out. Barbara, same thing too. And we're going to segue into the next question because we only got a few seconds here. We talk about the blacks having equality. It's never about equality. The gays about equality. It's never about equality. It's always about power and pushing their agenda. It's the same thing that's going on with ISIS, the Islamic Caliphate. It's never about we just want to be equal. It's always about power. And Barbara, this whole thing about Islam, decapitating children, women, Christians, this is wholly antithetical to this whole concept that blacks adhere to of equality, isn't it? Go ahead.
It's a confusing, you know, the highest number of American born, American people who convert to Islam are black.
Yeah.
The highest number of recruits. I just wanted to mention something very quickly. There's a Christian principal at Sherman College or whatever. You know what he had nerve enough to say?
Right.
He had nerve enough to say that all white people, white Americans, are complicit in slavery. Well, you know, people like that, you know what I tell them? I thank God for slavery. Because if there wasn't slavery, I may not have been born in America.
Right, right. You right, exactly right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you ought to say right. You say that to these people and their heads explode. It's like, what? Yeah, you would never have been born in America. Seriously.
I don't go to a stream to take a bath. I don't know how to do that. I don't have to worry for beans to be dropped down from the sky. I say thank you. It's something wonderful for me.
Right. Hey, Barbara, I have said it. Hey, the blacks want reparations for slavery. Listen, my mother was born in Lancashire County, England. I'm British by birth. So how about if I go to the Italians and ask for reparations for when the Romans took over England and enslaved all of us? Better yet, let's go even further back. Let's go back to Norway and Sweden when the Vikings came over and enslaved and raped all of the English people. Do I get reparations? Is that my white privilege?
Well, they need to go to Africa and rescue some of those slaves over there that blacks are enslaving blacks and Muslims are enslaving them.
Right.
Today.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, you know, the whole thing about human slavery, listen, folks, you know, it exists all over the world, and it's a horrible thing. It's been going on since time immemorial. And when you sit here and you talk about the United States being the most horrible country that had slavery, yes, of course we did. Go to Greece, had slavery. Go to England, had slavery. Go to France, had slavery. Go to Russia, had slavery. Go to China, slavery. In fact, many of these countries I could name for an hour. Every single country in the United States, I guarantee about 80% of them still to this day have some sort of human bondage.
That's right.
So when you sit here and talk about how America is this horrible country about racism and slavery, you've got your head up your ass. We have come so far, and Barbara is here on the show who has told us all of it all. And Barbara, it has been an incredible conversation. Barbara, I wish we had more time. We can have you back onto the show. I want to do this once again because this racism thing is, well, it's not like it's going away anytime soon. You know? Barbara, give a website, give your information.
Yes. Well, you know what Jeffrey Jackson said, keep hope alive. He really liked to say keep slavery alive because that keeps him, that keeps the Charlie Brown outside and balancing everybody.
Right.
That's what he meant. It's disgraceful what they do, and we got to keep fighting against them.
And it's so, I mean, we've come so far. It's so weird. I mean, we've got a black president for crying out loud. What more do you want? It's like, what the hell? And you know what? You know what the funny thing is? Because I'm a big historian, even after the Revolution and in the early part of the 1800s, there were black congressmen, there were black senators, there were black mayors, there were black sheriffs. I mean, you know?
I have documented some of that in my book to let people know how what progress we've made. You know, I mean, the country, America, has done wonders. I mean, in every area that I can find.
Right.
You know, and it's disgraceful what these godless heathens are trying to do to us. They're trying to just destroy all the good that they will be defeated.
And here's the other thing too. You and I might disagree on the gay marriage thing, but even that, you know, Barbara, you grew up as a liberal Democrat. I grew up as a liberal Democrat. That person still lives inside of both of us. Gay marriage, equal freedom, equality, acceptance, we welcome that. Where you draw the line is when you start pushing an agenda. That's where we draw the line. Freedom and equality, I'm all for it. Push the agenda, that's where I have the problem. Go ahead, Barbara. We got to go soon.
Okay, but they'll never have a marriage. Two of the days will never have a marriage, not a real marriage. Because they have to keep on recruiting because they can't reproduce.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've said that too. And that is something that I've said on many blogs that I've written, many posts that I've written. Yes, I know exactly where you're going here. But that's another conversation for another day, which we will have with Barbara from Harlem. Thank you so. Go ahead, Barbara.
I look forward to it. I love it.
This is great. This is what I love to do on the show. Open discourse, open conversation, and it's great to talk to a black woman about race and not be yelled at, not be told that I'm wrong and I'm stupid and I'm white. I mean, because you and I both, we got gray hair on our head, Barbara. Come on, we've been down that road. We know the whole thing is stupid. It's back in the past. Let it the frig go. Come on, we live in a new time, a new age. Come on, get on the horse and go. Come on, right?
That's right.
Right, exactly. Barbara, thank you so much. I will be talking to you soon on the show. Thank you so much, Barbara.
God bless you. God bless you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, dear. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
There you go. There you go. A woman who grew up in Harlem, black woman through the 60s, understands racism, was a liberal Democrat, did that whole thing where she just slowly came to realize that this whole thing is a bunch of bullshit and it's really stupid and we need to stop clinging to this. We really do. We need to stop doing this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're black. Nobody cares if you're Brazilian. Nobody cares if you're... Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You just go to the store, buy your stuff. You go to the business, do your business. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's... It doesn't matter. This whole thing that we're doing on race and dialogue here in Worcester, Mass. I've been there several times. Talking points. They got talking points. That's it. It's talking points. None of it is actually addressing anything. It's just the same old hashed out. It's what Barbara was talking about. It's what I asked her about Al Sharpton. It's the same thing, hashed out. It's the same. Just keep that grist mill turning. Just keep it turning. Keep that money coming. Keep that angst going. When in reality, think about everyone watching this video right now. How many times do you interact with other ethnicities? You don't like, oh, I'm not going to deal with that Jew. Oh, I'm not going to deal with that black person. I'm not going to deal with that Brazilian. You don't do that. Because you don't care. You don't care. It's like, hey, Joe, what's going on? Hey, Bob. Hey, Ramon, what's happening? Hey. You just go and do your stuff. That's it. So where's this racism shit coming from? Where's it coming from? Who's fomenting this? Why are they fomenting it? Follow the money. The Meat and Potato Show, conservative talk, awesome rock. Barbara from Harlem. Watch for the upload. Thank you.